It was Sunday morning, and John and Julie were meeting us about 6 a.m. to begin our trek north. We have 90 miles to go in an hour and a half. We have a schedule to keep as we're meeting up with some more friends. The weather was perfect. We were leaving at sunrise, and it was turning into a beautiful day. We were all filled with excitement as we began our trip. We were headed to Sturgis for the 79th annual bike rally. I'd been to the Sturgis rally for a few days once. It was about 18 years ago. I was traveling on vacation with my dad, and we stopped there for a few days. It was a really cool experience, but we weren't on motorcycles, so it just wasn't the same as this trip was going to be. I've never had the opportunity to ride to Sturgis before now, and I intend to ride every mile of this trip. Neither my girlfriend April or John and Julie have ever been to Sturgis before, but several of the people that we're going to meet up with today have been. They made the trip together for the 75th. The first leg of this trip takes us straight up US 63 till we get to Columbia, Missouri. We pulled into McDonald's right on time to meet more of the crew. Here, we are meeting my buddy Big Nick, my other buddy Nick, and his wife Cassie, and two friends of theirs that I had not met before, Tommy and Kelsey. We grabbed some breakfast, used the bathroom, went across the street and topped the bikes off at a gas station. Then we continued on north toward Macon, Missouri, which is about another hour from here. We now have a support vehicle in the group. It's my truck pulling Nick's trailer. This way we can haul some stuff, and we have a trailer in case one of the bikes gets into trouble. Everyone is on a tour bike except for Tommy, who's riding a Dyna. When we got to Macon, it was starting to get warmer, and we shed some layers and checked the oil on Big Nick's bike. The oil indicator light came on after he jumped on the throttle a little bit one time, so we wanted to make sure everything was okay. His oil level was fine, and we started the bike back up, and the light was gone. The scenery from here is mostly farmland. I normally ride the southern half of Missouri, which is mostly hills and forest. I prefer that scenery, but this day is about putting miles down and getting to South Dakota. So we hammered on west through the farmland across the state of Missouri till we get to St. Joe. We arrived at St. Joe a little before lunchtime. Here we met up with the final members of the crew, Chuck and Jess, who are on a road glide, and Wayne. Wayne rode up from Alabama on his Dyna. This may not seem like a big deal, but Wayne is older than anybody else in the crew, and he rode farther than any of us. We decided to push on and get lunch in Iowa somewhere, so we took off north. Now remember, January to May 2019 was the wettest period on record in the Midwest. We got to see firsthand how bad the flooding was still in August. There were exits that were still closed, and the roads were still flooded. My heart goes out to all those folks affected directly by this flood. It's hard to imagine how bad it was without seeing some of it firsthand. We stopped for gas once we got inside of Iowa, and we topped off the bikes, but there was no place to eat. So some of us stowed our lids in the safety vehicle, and we continued on north. We stopped for lunch about 1 o'clock in Council Bluffs. When you're traveling in a group, sometimes you just have to grab food from whatever place you can find that is open that you can get everybody into. We found a Freddy's in a strip mall close to the interstate, so burgers and fries for lunch it was. It was getting pretty warm by now, so it was nice to take a break and get some AC and rehydrate before we took off again. It's really important to stay hydrated if you're going to be out in the sun running down the highway on a bike in August for 13 hours straight. We rode on and only stopped for fuel or bathroom breaks till we got to our motel in Mitchell. We rode about 700 miles in 12 and a half hours. I have to admit my butt got a little numb around 575 miles. And then I got a second wind and I actually felt like I could do another 100 miles when we got to Mitchell. This was the longest day ride I have done to date. I've done several 400 to 500 mile days in the past, but this is my new record. I know there are thousands of you iron butt guys out there that'll say this is nothing, but it was still something to me. We pulled into our motel, checked in, dropped some gear, and we all headed to dinner. Blarney's Sports Bar and Grill sounded like a good place to us. We all got some food, had a few drinks, and laughed together. Then we decided to go back to the hotel and pile up in the lobby and have a few beverages of choice before bed. It was a great way to end the day with some great friends. Thanks for watching the video. If you like it, give it a big thumbs up. If you do the YouTube thing, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Hit that bell to be notified if you want to see when we drop a new video. Now, this video was probably the most boring day of our Sturgis trip, which was 9 days long, because all we did was hammer across the country and try and put down miles. Day 2, we start out in Mitchell and go through the Badlands, stop at Wall, and then roll on across through Rapid City to get to our cabin and lead. I'll be working on that video next. Thanks for your support. As always, be safe and keep on riding.